Even though over the next month it will not feel like it, because unfortunately, as I have said many, many, many times before, local elections are just as important as what goes on at a national level. You should care who is running your local council, who those local councillors are, what they do, because I can guarantee you now, most British people watching this video have probably never in their life been to a local council meeting or what happens in their local council. Most people are wildly oblivious, massively wildly oblivious to goes on what happens in their local council. But if you read things like the Private Eye, it has the whole section called the rotten boroughs, and it constantly talks about some of the many, many things that go on at local councils. And one of the things that I've constantly said I think has allowed this to happen over the number of years, first of all, pure lack of, I think, disinterest, massive public disengagement with local politics. I think that is a absolute shame, because I am going to, over the next month, probably cover some of the stuff that is going on in like local elections, and I know instantly for a fact they're going to get barely any views. Like, I know they are barely going to get any views, but I will do it anyway because I think local elections are always important, especially when you look at regional mayors. This sort of new position, really, over the past sort of decade or so that has come into being. And now, especially under this current government, those regional mayors have now been given more power, especially over local transport. So some of it is at least getting people to actually wake up and start to think, oh, actually, these local mayors in particular does actually matter who is in that position, because you've only got to take a look at the Tees Valley and Teesside with Ben Houchen being the only like conservative survivor of Starmageddon, barely just hanging on because he put all his eggs into one single Freeport shaped basket, to use, an Easter. Tis coming up to Easter. So, that's the only reason he survived. And even people there are like, yeah, actually, there's a lot of stuff that we keep on hearing about how bad this Freeport is. Again, very much thank you to, of course, the reporting that goes on in the Private Eye, because they constantly, of course, cover this, and of course in the Yorkshire Post. Still really does shock me. Labour really need to send in the auditors and find out what's going on there, because that might be pretty fun if the auditors do go in and have a look at those books. But certainly something that you should care, and especially as the fact that if you looked at all those local mayor election campaigns and look at Ben Houchen, all again focuses on Freeport, Freeport, Freeport. This is going to be excellent for the area. It's not. We know Freeports have a very bad history. You look at the amount of stuff going on in that Freeport. It's not really going to be that useful to the region. But people are starting to wake up. You've started to see, of course, a lot of regional mayors run on the fact, local transport. And you've had some pretty big wins. Most recently, of course, when they unseated the Conservative for the Midlands mayoralship, and that was entirely run on the fact we are going to go sort of bring local transport back under public control. And now local mayors are being given even more power over local transport. But enough about that for the time being. One of the things, of course, that will be, shall we say, really, I mean, really put to the test is, of course, this popularity of Reform UK. Now, I keep on saying this because it is true. People panic about Reform UK again and again and again. And I'll keep on saying it. There is not the evidence for this mass panic that you see a lot of people engage in. Because when you look, since the last general election, there have been at least 200 plus at this moment by-elections. 12 of those by-elections have been won by Reform. That does not reflect this supposed level of popularity that Reform UK has. You look at the number of councillors that Reform UK have. The vast majority of those councillors never actually stood in an election as a Reform UK candidate. They were Conservatives and they defected. So until it's shown otherwise, Reform UK is a massive, massive paper tiger. Now, will they win some seats at these upcoming, May local elections? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, they will. But always remember this, and I think we should compare this to UKIP. Back when UKIP were at their height, UKIP had councillors. They had about, I think the highest number I believe they ever got was like 300 and something. It was like 300 and something, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but I'm sure someone will tell us in the chat. But that was it. So always remember that at UKIP's height, never could break past that. And that is what we should compare Reform UK to, because if they can't beat UKIP at its supposed height and maximum, then it really is just a massive paper tiger. And all this worry about it, all this threat, these, popularity polls, doesn't end up translating into votes. And I think this election might just show how much of a paper tiger Reform really are. And to even show this, out of nowhere, they are putting Aaron Banks, of all people, to run for the mayoralship of, I think, what's the mayoralship called now? It's down south. That's it, West England. So it's the mayoralship for West England, but mainly it's going to be sort of made up, I believe, of, here we are. So it's made up, of course, Bristol, South Gloucestershire, Bath, North East Somerset councils. Still, again, quite a big, area. Even Banks says he's not very popular, but apparently, of course, he can win because, of course, he's going to say that. I don't see him winning, to be honest. But it's kind of interesting that they've got him running for that particular mayoralship. I don't see him winning, to be honest. It'll be interesting to see if the hustings that they do gets broadcast, because that'll be interesting. That'll be very interesting indeed to see that if that happens. But yeah, always remember ultimately, as I said, until evidence says otherwise, Reform UK is a massive paper tiger. And at the moment, evidence has so far shown it is. A couple of weeks ago, you had 9 by-elections in 1 week. Reform UK didn't even win one. So we'll see. May the 1st is, of course, going to be the date that we all head to our local poll stations. Of course, probably, less than 25% of your area is going to go head to the polls, meaning, as always, we cover after these local elections, the absolute shocking turnout for these local elections. Basically showing that if you get like 100 odd people, you can suddenly become a town councillor. You do not need big numbers to win. You need very, very, very small numbers of people actually turn out. But we'll go over the turnout as always. We always do. I can always guarantee you now, it is going to be low, very low indeed, because that's just how local elections have always been. So, as always, let me know what you think down below, as of course. And next time, anyway, let's try that again next time, of course. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, we'll see you all very soon.